Hey guys, Kaido here today with another video. We're going to be talking about Kindred builds, and a lot of old builds have been popping back up, and you guys have not played the game as long as I have, so a lot of them are like new to you guys. So we're going to talk a lot about different setups that you can take, and there's over like 12 plus builds in this video, so you guys will not get bored in terms of like champions. In terms of like builds on Kindred, so you can have as much fun as you want and just go crazy with it in your solo queue games. And I'll talk about each single build pretty in depthly as much as I can, but they're pretty simple. And you should go them. But either way, let's just get into the video. First, we will talk about runes, and the first rune is Conquer, the rune I preach about the most. To me, Conquer is her best rune by far in terms of early, mid, late game. It will usually just have the most value, and usually you want to take this when you're able to hit consistently. So if they have a lot of range type champions and they outrange you, then I would suggest you go PTA. You should not go Conquer in those type of games, but when you're allowed to hit over and over and just like be their face pretty much, you want to go Conquer, and you want to pair that with Triumph and Alacrity. Obviously, like there's nothing else to really take. And as for the last part of the tree, where you can take Last Stand or Coup, because now cut down is 60%, and I don't think it's worth it anymore. The rune just sucks, so I would not take this rune anymore. But either way, you take Coup when you want to go more higher damage type builds, but Last Stand you go with more like tankier type builds, and you want to play more for the team fighting pretty much. Next, we got PTA. You want to take this rune when they're fairly squishy pretty much, and you are basically going builds that probably involve like Collector and very just high damage type builds. You don't really want to be building like Triforce Cleaver and then have PTA. You want to have Conquer with the more HP you're building, because you're able to just play in their face. So take PTA when you're trying to go more glass cannon type playstyle, and you want to pair that with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup. Like I said earlier, cut down is just bad, so there's just nothing else really to take anymore. So you will default to Coup every single game. And now we're going to talk about what you should pair this with. So the first secondary you can take is Free Boots and Cosmic. This is a very consistent page you can take. I don't take it that much anymore, but it is very nice to have your smite on a lower CD and just having a guaranteed boots base. And then your second option is Free Boots with Jack of all trades, which is my probably most favorite secondary, because I go Triforce a lot, and to me Triforce is Kindred's best first item at the moment because the Kraken nerfs and just how Triforce works as an item, which we can talk about in a bit. You will, on minimum, have 7 to 8 stacks of Jack of all trades when you're doing Triforce with like resistances, like Tabas and maybe withstand type builds. And if you go one crit component with a Lyso component, you will have all 10 stats, or all 10 stacks of Jack of all trades. And lastly, we got Domination Tree with Eyeball Collection and Treasure Hunter, which is good for more of the PTA setup, because sometimes you might go Kraken into full damage, and it will allow you to just snowball and get more. Usually you need more money with those builds, and it also gives you 80 while earning more money. The first build we're going to talk about, which to me is going to be one of her best builds that you want to go, is Kraken and Cleaver. These two items are very good for the game. So Kraken, it has very good spike when you do build it and you're on tempo on Kindred, which is what you want to usually be while playing this champion. You don't want to necessarily be behind, you want to be even or ahead usually, so that's when the champion feels very good. And Cleaver, as of like the recent patches, it's gotten a lot of buffs since like Split 2, gotten a lot of love, and this item has always been very nice on Kindred. It gives you all stats you want, HP, CDR, and gives you Shred, which is so nice on Kindred. And you can pair items like Witsend, BT, and like even different Zeal items, which we can talk about in a bit, which Zeal items are nice, but usually it would be like PD or like Runance. And you can go like tank items with it also. So this is just a very good tempo itemization build. Now we have the standard good old crit build, the most dopamine as it says. Kraken Collector into your Last Whisperer / IE. It's interchangeable, which one you want to go. I suggest you go Mortal from now on. In every single build that I have, it shows Mortal over LDR, because when you're building Last Whisperer, you're building for the pen, the AD does not matter, and Lord Dominic's as an item only gives 10 more AD than more Reminder, and that's it. Before we used to give more pen, that's why it looked a lot better, and you can build it. But more Reminder just looks like the biggest winner between both items, because it gives grievous wounds, and even though it gives 10 less AD, that does not matter when you're building Last Whisper. That's not the reason why you're buying it. So you want to always go more Reminder, and there's a lot of healing in League of Legends nowadays. It's like becoming like the old days. The old days there was so much healing, and we're back to those kind of games. And you want to finish off your build with like BT, Mercurial, or even GA. And in terms of boots, I mean, you just buy what's the best boots for the game. Towers and Mercrez usually never go Zerkers unless you want to play like a Maniac. But yeah, that's just on you. So you choose your poison. Now we got Kraken Triforce. This is a very good like all-around build. You get everything you want. It's also good with Jack of all trades because you get a lot of stacks. And usually I prefer Triforce first into Kraken, which we can look at later, but this is good if you're very on tempo. It does require a lot of money. Triforce is a very expensive item, so you need to be pretty rich, but you can pair these items with crit or on hits, and you can go items like Witsend, Cleaver to be tankier and just have more type shred, more like HP, just play in your face a lot, or you can play very high damage crit setup. You can get more Reminder, Collector, IE and stuff. And BT has good amount of the builds. It's a very flexible item. It's very good on Kindred. Having lifesteal on her is very nice, and also gives a lot of AD. And when you're building it past like level 13, 14 when you're getting the most value out of the item. So think about that like when you're looking to build BT. Now we got Kraken Witsend. This combo is a very high tempo build. So, like, you cannot fall behind. You're basically noob stomping the enemy team. So people have watched me do this build a lot on stream. At GM, Challenger, Master, doesn't matter what elo I'm in. If I feel like I'm very ahead and I can play in their face and I'm able to pair Witsend with Tabas, so I have both MR and armor, I will just be running around the map killing them. And it gives you a lot of attack speed and it's very good with Conqueror Page. So this build is very on tempo if you're very fed and you want to play in their face and you need tenacity, you need MR, you need armor. You pair this with Tabas, you will be so hard to kill, and then you want to top off your build with either more resistant type items or you want to just keep going more damage. So it's definitely like your own preference, but this build, I love it a lot actually. It's probably one of my favorite builds because I play very aggressively on Kindred, and if you are very good at being the aggressor, this build complements you very well. So does Triforce too, but again, if you need tenacity, but you also want Tabas, which there are games like that in League of Legends, this is your build. Now we got Kraken Terminus. Terminus as an item is very like frontlining type item. Just want to play in your face pretty much, and I don't really like it that much, but I know there are people who like Terminus and just like just being the frontliner type Kindred because they feel like their team is not like engaging for them and stuff, so they're doing it themselves, which is honestly a fine mindset to have. It does feel like that at times, so that's when you should go Terminus, and you want to pair this with like more tanky type items. You don't really want to build damage with Terminus, and I feel like if you get behind on this item, it must feel very bad because you just do negative damage. But if you're even to ahead and you have very strong like teammates, I think this item can work on Kindred for sure, but it's just not my preference end of the day. Now we got the Shred build that people either didn't know about because they're newer players or they forgot about it. This setup is the best tank killing setup you can ever build on Kindred. Kraken, Bork, Cleaver all have great tank killing passives, and you usually want to go this build when, of course, you are very heavy in HP. These items will help you kill these tanks on the enemy team. And as for your last items in the build, the Zeal item, you want to build Renans probably or Navori, because these items help you either kite the melee champions running at you in the short range. Usually tankier comps tend to be short range, so they're running at you, so it helps you kite them, or you just go Renans and just spray them all. Like, it's simple as that pretty much. Okay, let's talk about Zeal items a bit before I go into the other builds. Still have a lot more to go. Basically, PD is a very tempo item. I feel like this item is very good when you're very ahead, but if you ever fall behind or even, it feels like you do very little damage. But it is very nice to have on Kindred because it gives you a lot of movement speed to just run at people. You got Rapid Fire. Rapid Fire helps you just poke people down and just give you the extra range, pretty much. Usually you want to pair this item when you're going IE. Navori, to me right now, I think is sleeper OP on Kindred, honestly. I think it's very good if you really want to have a lot of Q uptime or E uptime. The W uptime does not matter. It's mainly for Q and E. So you're trying to kite people, so you want your Q up sooner, or you want to get a lot of E uptime because E just got recently buffed on Kindred, and I think it's very strong to max seconds with certain builds. So you are trying to get just basically like 3-hit them over and over and just like run people down and like basically drop it like a nuke in the TDM pretty much. Then lastly, you got Runans, which is very good into short range comps. And I mean, you should know when Runans should look good usually. It's pretty obvious, like they're very short range and you're hitting them a lot. Runans should be your item if you're going Zeo. Now we got Kraken PD. I keep talking about high tempo, and let me just say what I mean is basically you are trying to be not behind. So you're not going to be behind the enemy in terms of gold, so you always be able to do damage in the game, and you're always going to be up XP, gold, and items on them because you're up XP and gold, right? So you want to build these high tempo items when you are ahead in the game, and you want to maintain your lead because these items can help you keep pushing your lead because they're so oppressive when you're playing so well on the champion. So you go Kraken PD, and then you go Last Whisper item with IE. You don't always need to build IE. You can go BT after Last Whisper. It's definitely up to you. But again, it's interchangeable. It depends on what you want, but you usually want to go very high damage when you build PD because you are chasing them down. It gives you so much MS that on top of Kraken, because you should give you over like 15 to 17% movement speed. I think they nerfed Kraken, so I don't remember the numbers. But yeah, people complain a lot about how slow Kindred is as a champion. When you build items like this, it solves the issue, right? You're getting a lot of MS, so that's when you should go these builds. So earlier I mentioned that Kraken Cleaver is one of your best builds on Kindred, or one of the two. This is the second build. To me, Triforce and Moral Reminder are the biggest winners of this patch and just recent patches for Kindred, and these items complement you really well. You're going Jack of all trades, and it gives you a lot of stacks. You should have, I think, 7 or 8 stacks just from Triforce and Moral Reminder alone, plus your boots. So it's very easy to get your last 2 stacks and just get full value for Jack of all trades. And to me, like I said earlier, there's a lot of healing back in the game, in my opinion. So Moral Reminder is going to be one of your favorite items this patch. I think you should constantly look to build this item. There's healing everywhere, fleet, champion kits, items. Yeah, I mean, those are the main 3. And you want to top off your builds, usually with more like on hits, usually. In my opinion, I think on hit is stronger most of the time. But you can also go crit, it's definitely preference. Again, BT is your most flexible item. Now you got Triforce Collector, and again, Moral Reminder IE. It's a lot of very similar, these builds, but I just want to go over every single build because I know some people tend to get bored. But either way, you go this build when you want to just build damage. And remember I said earlier that Kraken is just a weaker first item than Triforce in my opinion because it got nerfed, and Kraken scales better with levels, while Triforce just gives you everything you want to be able to snowball and play in their face in the early to mid game on Kindred, which is very nice. And you can, this is the crit or like build with Triforce, and yeah, you just build crit items and you want to top off your build with BT, Mercurial, or GA usually. But yeah, these are your items for the crit oriented Triforce setup. Now we have the reverse, Triforce and then Kraken. Kraken scales with levels. I think if you're going to go Kraken on Kindred, it is better to go with second item in my opinion. Unless you're extremely ahead and you don't really feel like you need Triforce HP for your first item, then you can go Kraken first. But in my opinion, it is better to go with second item. And usually you want to, reason why you're building a second is because there are pretty beefy champions on enemy team and you want to be able to kill them pretty much. That's why you are going Kraken. And Triforce Kraken, very good combo. And to me, I think it's better to just go on hits, go Withstand, go Cleaver, because you should be fine in terms of damage. If you do need XE though, you can either sit on the XE component, which is 800 gold, because it's pretty much the same as buying full Moral. It's the same value in terms of heal cuts, or you can just buy the full Moral Reminder. It's definitely up to you. You can be Witsend Moral Reminder if you want. It's just preference. It's what you need for the game. Usually how you should think about your items after your 2-3 core on Kindred. Now, Triforce Cleaver. Very good for playing in their face. A lot of CDR, lots of damage. Very good, consistent items that you can build. You cannot go wrong with this build. The only thing it really lacks is attack speed. I mean, you do get a decent amount of attack speed from Alacrity plus Triforce, so usually you want to just build Witsend with this, because maybe you have Tabais good amount of time, or if you have Triforce, I mean, well, Mertreads, that's also fine. Or like you don't need attack speed and you just want to go get tankier, you can go items like Randuin's and BT and stuff, and it's just what you need for the game. Like I said earlier, like your 2-3 items, depending on which setup you're playing, matters the most. Usually on hit builds, your 2 item matters the most. Your crit builds, your 3 item matters the most, because your 3 item is either Last Whisper or IE, which really is a breakpoint in the game. If you build IE and they get really tanky, then you just can't kill them, right? So that's what I mean. So it's all preference, end of the day. Now we got Triforce with Terminus. If we're gonna go Terminus, I suggest you do it only with Triforce. I know I showed the crack one earlier, but again, people get bored with builds and they want to try out stuff, and I'm just giving you all the options possible. And we can talk about what is my personal opinion on what builds you should consistently go if you really want to climb. But either way, let's continue on with this build. This build, like you can see from the items, you are very tanky if you build these items. And you just want to keep playing in their face, and you don't want to stop. You don't want to slow down the game pretty much. You want to just keep invading their jungle over and over and over, and keep stealing camps and denying them from scaling into the game type beat pretty much. That's how you should view builds like this, where you're building less damage and you're getting tankier. But like if you're ahead, like when you're ahead, usually you want to build defenses anyways. So this build can be good for that. But if you fall behind, you will start doing negative damage. And trust me, I know. I've tested this build many times in the past. So PD second item, Triforce. People who watch my stream, they see me building PD quite a lot, and that's because I'm usually snowballing. Because that's just how I am on Kindred. I'm the aggressor. So the thing that is very scary about this build is that if you die, you will tickle them. Like, I'm not even joking. So you need to constantly get gold and keep killing champions. This build, there's so much movement speed, and there's actually a decent amount of damage if you're ahead. Like, you can run around and just take over the whole map. But it is very extreme for you to do this build. But so do at your own risk. Now, the last build, which I think is sleeper OP on Kindred. That's why it is the last one out of all the builds. And I'll have my final thoughts after I talk about this build. To me, why this build is very OP is because Triforce, I said it earlier, very strong first item. Gives you HP, AD, attack speed, movement speed. Like, the phage component is so broken when you want to skirmish on Kindred in the early game. And then you build Collector to keep snowballing. And then you don't need to go Navori third. But I think Navori with Last Whisper is such a great combo. You will have enough damage to kill anyone, tanky or not, I mean. And Navori will help you have your E, you increase your E uptime with Navori, which is, I think, very nice. I think you either want to go Triforce Cleaver, or you want to have Navori in your setup if you want to just always be perma-Eing the enemy team and just be killing them pretty much. And I think this build is very good together. I've tried it and I like it a lot. Sometimes you might need to go Last Whisper second or like third after the Collector, and that's why there's also the other variants where you go Triforce, Last Whisper into Navori. So you do what you think is best for the game, and there's sometimes I've talked a long time ago, like where I buy Zeal and I sit on it, because Zeal is a very great item to have on its own. It gives you crit, attack speed. Like, it's so nice to have on Kindred. Like, it complements her very well. So this build, I think you guys should all try it. I'm pretty sure if you guys know how to drop kills, this build is so fun, especially with Jack of all trades. You have so much stat going into the game, going into the mid to late game pretty much to snowball, and you have so much fun, trust me. Okay, that's the end of the video. a lot of builds I talked about, and I just want to pinpoint some builds that I think are the best builds by far. I've also mentioned it earlier when I was talking about them. To me, if you really want to win consistently on Kindred, I suggest you always go Kraken Cleaver, Triforce with Last Whisper, which is more reminder, or you do Triforce with Collector. These three setups, to me, personally, are the best items in terms of the current meta and just how well they do in the game. They are very good on tempo, of course. You can do builds like Kraken Collector and stuff. You do you. But those three builds, to me, are the best builds by far out of the... I actually don't even remember. For some reason I didn't count how many builds, but there's over like 14 builds or something in this video. I suggest you do those three builds, and if you guys enjoyed this video, let me know down in the comments below. And I'm always trying to improve the content. I don't know how my mic, well, I think the mic quality was decent on this video. It was okay. It definitely can be better. I know people complain a lot about my mic, but you know, everyone has like their own tastes, I guess. Some people it's fine, some people it's not. So, you know, I'm always trying to accommodate everyone's preferences. You know, it is hard to deal with so many different people. But you know, thank you for watching this video, and there are gonna be a lot of gameplay videos for you guys to watch over the next like couple weeks, because I'm just playing so much Kindred. I also have a Nuzlocke challenge for Assassins only, which you can check out too. But of course, whoever's watching this video, you're here for Kindred. So I'll be posting so much different Kindred concepts for you to improve on, and I hope to help all of you guys on your Kindred journey, just like how I enjoyed my own. And a lot of my Kindred learning, I did it on my own. I didn't really have anyone to help me. A lot of it was on my own intuition, and that's how I was maintaining top 10 challenger multiple years playing Kindred as one of my top 3 champions. And now I get to help you guys, and I've seen a lot of people say thank you to me, that I've helped them and I'm helping them get better, which is very nice to see, and it pushes me to keep doing more. So hope you guys got a lot of info from this video in terms of builds and runes, and we'll talk more about different Kindred concepts in future gameplay videos. Hope you guys have a great day, and see you guys in the next video.